fire inside.
Welcome to another episode of Ringmasters, where we discuss the latest in boxing news and share techniques of the sweet science. Are you ready, fight fans? Let's glove up.
I grew up here in my hometown where I'm at now, Houston, Texas, in the Fifth Ward area, the same place George Foreman was raised.
Okay, all right. And what inspired you to box? You know, and I always ask my guests that because boxing is almost like a calling, man. You know, who would put themselves through all the agonizing pain is like a boxer would do, you know? Who would do that normally? So it has to be a calling, in my opinion. What inspired you to box?
Well, I think, growing up in the area of Fifth Ward, man, you gonna have fights one day, and that same guy you had to fight with, you're gonna be playing marbles or playing basketball with him the next day. So, you had to learn how to fight or you would get bullied. But at the age of 12, my uncle, Kenneth Iron Man Walker, who was an amateur fighter, took me to the Salvation Army Boys Club, introduced me to the late Mr. James Carter. I started boxing at 12, and I can remember Mr. Carter telling me that I could be champion of the world the first day I put gloves on, and that is really what inspired me. My mother didn't want me boxing. I think Mr. Carter stayed on her for a while. I was getting in trouble in school, and he made a deal with my mother and told her that, trust me, if you let him box, all this will change. And it came to the point, to make a long story short, I had to make a choice. Was I going to be the class clown? Was I going to be the guy fighting all the time, getting suspended? Or did I want to box? And I chose something that I fell in love with. I chose boxing.
Yeah. Well, I understand that. Now, some people probably wouldn't understand. Why would boxing, which is basically fighting, make you a more disciplined person or make you a better child? Why would that? It seemed like, if you're looking at it from the outside of the boxing arena, it seemed like it would make it worse. But it seemed like you're encouraging the child to fight. Why would you want to do that? That would make the problem worse. Why is that not true? Why is boxing good for children?
Because it's an organized fight. It's not like it's not even in the same category as a street fight. And one thing I can say about boxing, you're not going to be able to whoop everybody. It's a very humbling sport. It teaches you to respect people. It teaches you to, for certainly go out and do what you can do, but there's going to always be someone that can outdo you. And it was a humbling sport. And and then you learn over the years, you learn that it's not a street fight, it's organized fighting. And it's a lot of discipline that comes with boxing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got my guy Carlos Jackson on the line, Mr. Johnson. He's a boxer out here from Atlanta, man. I think I want to say he's 16 or 17 and one. So he's pretty bad dude. So he's watching right now. So I wanted to mention him. He just had a fight like last week. So he can beat people up out here. Carlos Jackson. They call him King Dynamite.
Okay, King Dynamite, if you put the work in, trust me, it will pay off.
Yeah. Again, this is Mr. Reggie Johnson, 44-7. He fought all the top names. Roy Jones Jr., Antonio Tarver, James Toney. And I didn't know this until I actually watched it, but you knocked James Toney out. Well, you knocked him out for a second. You put him down on his back. That was amazing. You know? How'd you feel at that moment? I think we lost the fourth cigar. Let's see if we get it back here again. And you got to excuse me. I think the connection is a little bad there, but we'll still try to get him on there. Hold on. Carlos, if you want to be added on, man, you can go because we're having some trouble with Mr. Johnson. So I don't mind them looking at another face beside my own, you know. Let's see if we can get him back up here. Dominique, there we go.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, we're back. Okay.
Okay, yeah, we back.
I was telling the viewers that you faced all the top names and you knocked out James Toney in the second round of y'all's fight. How'd you feel about that, man, at that moment? Were you surprised or what?
Well, let's correct that. I didn't knock him out. I had him down and almost out.
Knocked him out. I mean, knocked him down. Excuse me.
Right. And you know, that was my first world title fight. I was the #1 contender by 2 of the sanctioning bodies, and the other sanctioning body I was #2. And Michael Nunn them fought James Toney, and Michael Nunn was winning the fight. James Toney came back, showed a lot of character and a lot of power, and stopped the great Michael Nunn. So he had to fight me. I was his mandatory. He fought me 6 weeks. He fought me 6 weeks after he fought Michael Nunn. And, you know, it was a great fight. I had him down in the second round. It was a fight till this day. In my heart, I know I won, but, you know, he got the decision, the split decision. So, but, you know, I learned a lot from that fight. And, you know, James Toney became one of the greatest fighters of our era and could probably compete in any era. So it only adds credibility to my resume and to the fight that he and I had.
Okay. All right. Hey, I got one of my viewers named Mr. Willie Arnold. Mr. Willie Arnold wanted to know from you. He said, what is your take on there not being as many black promoters in the boxing industry? So, you have any opinion about that?
Yeah, I have an opinion about that. If they're going to be like the Don King I did, we only need one.
Well, he kind of gave him a bad name, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm not giving him a bad name. He's one of the greatest promoters at what he did. But and he's a man of color. And let me tell you, all those promoters are pretty much the same. I know what I've experienced. A lot of people tell me, they say, Reggie, I don't understand how did you win world titles and accomplish what you did, because once I learned the business, I went against the grain. I set out contracts. I took promoters to court to get out of contracts and things of that nature. But an attorney is just like a attorney. They sign paperwork to do what's in your best interest. But trust me, they're going to always do what's in their best interest. And the same with promoters. And I tell people all the time that boxing is the only sport where the rats dictate the lines. And, you know, once you fight, win world titles, travel the world, see the world, meet noted people, that's boxing. That's your champion. That's in your history. But that's your past history, and it's history. And you become a legend, and people always will know you and identify you with boxing. But there's life after boxing. And my passion now is making the sport a better sport. I'm working with some people in Minnesota and New York, trying to add some business structure to boxing. If we were set up like the NBA or the NFL or the National Baseball League, it would be a beautiful thing. But for that to happen, you know, some fighters gonna have to come together, man, and we're gonna have to take a stand, because we don't want our kids, our grandkids, and the future champions to have to put up what we put up with.
Yes, sir. I understand that. So you came across, and you mentioned, I guess since Mr. Willie brought up the promoters, you had, you know, you've done better than most. So you come across a substantial amount of money that you got your hands on. So what would your advice be to the young fighters that's coming up in the game now?
Well, I would say have your own representation, get your own attorney. And I know a lot of people, sometimes that father-son thing is known to not work. But one thing about your father and your mother, they love you, and they gonna want what's done in your best interest. And then if they can know how to add them numbers and put those people in place that you definitely need to have them by your side. My mother and father wasn't there like most fighters. Like I just recently talked to Quincy Taylor, who knocked out Julian Jackson, and he told me his story. And that's another thing we're working on. See, a lot of fighters can really survive off their past history. But what we got to do is come together, sit down, and tell these stories. People would pay to hear these stories. You know, you see these fights, but man, if you were able to also see all the stuff that happened leading up to that fight, man, it would be, man, probably win some Grammys and all kind of awards.
Yeah, yeah. I always think about all of the background history with the famous Ali and Foreman fight. Was that the Rumble in the Jungle?
Rumble in the Jungle. Oh, and the fights with him and Joe Frazier, which they just hosted on ESPN, that was a great fight, great trip. And think about where we at now with fighters, man. We haven't won a gold medal since 2004.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know that. I have to say though, you know, not that we don't train as hard, but you know, those countries are catching up, man. That, you know, with their techniques and things, man. They're really going after it, and we have to step up to the plate. I'm saying, Americans have to step up to the plate, man. You know, we really have to go hard for it now.
Well, also we gotta recognize this too and acknowledge this. All the old school trainers has passed on. And there's very few fighters who was trained by the old school trainers that are training fighters today. And I know that's part of the problem as well. And I agree with what you just said. But you know, we got a lot of work to do, man, in boxing. And I think, hey, could you imagine if we were set up like the NFL, the NBA, and the National Baseball League, say, listen, man, if we ain't getting this percentage of this money being made, ain't none of us getting in that ring. You know how powerful that would be?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd be powerful. It'd be powerful because boxing is a profitable sport, and I know sometimes it seems to be overshadowed by the UFC fighting or MMA, but it's still here. It's still here. I think it'll be here for as long as sporting is around. Boxing will be.
Well, we must also acknowledge that boxing is the world's oldest sport. They started with the bare knuckles. Boxing ain't going nowhere, man. And you know what? I used to train a lot of those MMA fighters and UFC fighters, and you got to give them they just do too. It's man against man, one against one. It's a rough sport, but you know I don't think they'll never override boxing. Boxing is the ultimate sport.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what you mentioned. I'm sorry, I lost that. So your advice, you talked about your advice to the young fighters. Tell me this: who was your toughest opponent, Mr. Johnson?
Well, you know, I had a lot of tough opponents. Of course, you had to stand out would be Roy Jones Jr. He was the only guy that I couldn't really get to because of his speed and ring generalship. But, you know, I fought fighters that were not as fast as him, but stronger and had kind of like the same style that he had. But there's an article that I would advise everybody to go read, and I did it. Marvin Hagler, most fighters, Roberto Duran, all of it did. It's called The Best We Faced. Reggie Johnson, if you look that up, and you can use any other like Tommy Hearns and say the same thing, best I faced Tommy Hearns, and read that article. It's one of my best articles. I even use it sometimes to send to people as a resume for myself. So
yes, sir. Okay.
And it pretty much asked the question you just asked, who was the toughest, but it pretty much asked who had the best jab, who hit the hardest, who was the fastest. It asked all those questions.
They got into specifics. You know, I would have thought you would have said, I don't know if you remember this guy, George Castro. You know who that is?
No, Jorge Castro. Yeah, George in Spanish. Yeah, you're right. No.
That guy, yes.
Yeah. But see, You see that? So you look at the record and you see 2 losses, and you would think Castro, but I beat Castro. I fought him in his backyard, and
Hey,
those 2 fights I won.
Hey, but this guy here though, he was when you fought him, he was 97-4.
Yeah,
and he has a high percentage of a knockout. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you fought him twice.
Okay, and I beat him twice. I fought him in his backyard. But check this out. This is why when you look at a guy's record, you got to really look at his record. Okay, and I'm not saying that Castro wasn't a great and good fighter, but not having 96 fights. But who did he fight? You see what I'm saying?
He was fighting a lot. He was fighting a lot. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, but who was he fighting a lot? What I mean, what
you saying he may not have had the toughest opponents.
Right. But no, he was a tough fighter. You right about that. You seen him, and I lost my middleweight world title in Argentina to John David Jackson. And John David, that's another fight. I got 4 political losses on my record. John David Jackson, Jorge Castro twice, and James Toney. Tarver beat me. Of course, Roy Jones beat me, and I lost my 7th pro fight in an 8-round decision. So they got what you call political losses too. They should add that to the boxing record.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, I thought you would have said him. And he fought a lot, man. Because I was looking at the year you fought him in '94. He had 11 fights in that year. And in 1988, that same cat had 19 fights in 1 year. That's unheard of. I couldn't see a fighter nowadays doing that like that.
Well, that's how they used to do it back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. They used to fight like that.
Your career would be 1 or 2 years seemed like after that. Though.
Yeah. Jorge Castro was a tough guy, man. He was a tough guy, but you know, I was known as a lefty that was smart, and I tell you who was tougher than Jorge Castro because he had even fast hands. Lamar Parks. With my first title defense that I had to fight him. He was my mandatory. Now that was a tough fight because he didn't only have power, but he had the speed.
Okay. Now let's talk about that a little bit, Mr. Johnson. Because when I looked at they had a piece on you on YouTube about your defense. Now everybody knows you're a southpaw, and you're known for your speed. But you had great footwork, and they talked about your defense. And I was like, man, he's elusive, but that footwork is off the chain. Like you would pivot in the moment and be behind the guy or something, not just on the side, but behind him. You know, so what you do to train for that type of thing? What techniques that you could offer to the young guys?
Well, first let's acknowledge and let me pay tribute to the late trainer who told me when he started training me at 17, the people I signed with hired him to train me. He told me your legs, these same legs you use to position yourself to punch a guy with is the same legs you get out the way with. Your legs is your offense and your defense. And that's the late, great Curtis Coates, died a couple of years ago. From Dallas, Texas. He's the first, he's a Hall of Famer. He's the first guy from Dallas to win a boxing world title. He also trained Quincy Taylor, who knocked out Julian Jackson, who I aforementioned a little earlier. Yeah. But, you know, right out the gate, that's what, making that transition from amateur to pro, that's what Curtis Coates taught me. And he spoke on that just about every day, your legs.
Legs, huh? Okay. And there was no particular technique you used as far as training wise? Did you jump rope any more than anybody else, or just did footwork with the cones? Anything specific that you did?
Well, we did cone works, and we did a lot of stair works. We did a lot of. I got a park here in Houston alone. I bet you I got 100,000 miles at that park for running, but you know, just keeping your legs in shape, and then later on when you become a champion, you want to take it to the next level. And I never forget when I was getting ready to fight Lamar Parks, who was knocking everybody out. He was the next champion. He was signed with Madison Square Garden, and he was my mandatory. And I'll never forget, Evander Holyfield told me I needed to get with Tim Hallmark, which was his strength coach. and I had never did the strength and the weights, and I was kind of scared of that because I still had to make that 160. And I met with Tim Hallmark, and I remember the last thing he said at the meeting. He said, well, "You just going to have to trust me," and I trusted him, and you know, I paid tribute to him for that Lamar Parks back. Lamar Parks was a bad man, fast hand, and he could hit hard.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right, man. All right. Let's see. Well, our next question here. Tell us something about, because I know our time is running short, and I want to keep you on past your time that we allotted for you. But hey, tell us something about yourself that we don't know, that the public doesn't really know about.
You know something. People ask me this question all the time, and I tell them this all the time. I'll be 55 in August, and I've never had anything foreign in my body because the late Mr. James Carter told me that when I was 12 years old. Don't ever put nothing foreign in your body. Until this day, I've withstood that, not even a beer. And when I tell people that, they, even back in the day when we used to go out to clubs with my friends, they would always get me because they called me DD. I was their designated driver. They know they was going to get back home. After they didn't have drinks, and this is one of the things I tell people. They can never figure it out. I tell them I've never had anything foreign in my body, not even a beer. Never had no liquor, but I've been drunk about 3 or 4 times. Can you figure that out?
Unless you've been hit in the head.
There you go. Well, you got it. Not too many people get it. They think that you lying there. I know you were drinking, and no, man. I had that vodka called Roy Jones something. That wobbled me a little bit, but that whenever I speak to kids or even detention centers, I always share that with people. I don't put nothing foreign in my body. I'm still a health freak, man. I like most fighters, after you get through fighting, after they had to go through all that, eat salads and make weight. You know, that's why they blow up. And I eat salad 4 or 5 times a week. I'm still healthy. I'm walking around now probably about 195, 190, and I fought 75. Good. Yeah.
So you still keep in shape. That's awesome, Mr. Johnson, man. I can't eat salad that much, man. I ate salad for a whole day, I almost fainted. I can't do it.
So what you had to do? You had to back it over with some pork chops or something?
Yeah, I'll do something, man. Put some
hey, that's another thing, man. I quit eating pork in 1988.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great, man. But that's also amazing. Let me say hey to everybody. What's up, Miss Renee? What's up, Matt? How you feeling? I see you today. And what's up, Mo Johnson from Baton Rouge? What's that, homeboy? All the people, all our viewers, someone say a shout out to you. But yeah, Mr. Johnson, that's really amazing, man. You hadn't had a drink or anything, man. And you know, usually that's the natural thing after celebrating the win. You know, fighters go out and celebrate, they have drinks.
Right. Yeah, I never got caught up in that drinking, man. And you know, back in the day when we was going out to clubs, I'll go there to try to meet a young lady, but I wouldn't drink, and the guys would, oh, come on, man. They just try to make it. Hey, bro, I don't do it, man. I don't do that, man.
Wow, man, that's great. And you didn't even call in. You didn't what do you say? You didn't concede to peer pressure. You didn't give in to it. You know.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I got something else I want to share with your people, man.
Go ahead.
Mr. Carter, the late Mr. James Carter, who's my father figure and coach, he told me a few things that I'll never forget and I live by. One of the things he told me, he said, introduce me to your friends and I can predict your future. And the second thing he told me was, Reggie, just like I'm here for you today, you had to be there for someone tomorrow. And that tomorrow is today. And that's why, you know, people say, Reggie, what you doing now? I do charity. You know, I'm a community activist. I go to schools. I go to detention centers. I go to prisons. You know, I give back because somebody gave to me, and I wouldn't be able to be here to give back if it weren't for the late Mr. James Carter, my mother, my grandmother, and most definitely my uncle, Colonel Iron Man Walker, who introduced me to the Salvation Army Boys Club and the late Mr. James Carter.
Yes, sir. Well, shout out Mr. James Carter, man. We sure appreciate he did what we appreciate his hard work, because without him, we wouldn't have you here to tell us all of those things, man, about yourself and give us good advice about good living, man. So we appreciate that. You know?
And I'm also giving back to boxing. For the last 6.5, 7 months, I've been in Dickinson, Texas, which is about an hour, 10, 15 minutes from my home in Houston. Teamed up with Eugene Hill, who's a heavyweight that's 35-2. He was in my last training camp. I was 175 fighting with heavyweights. I had him and another heavyweight as sparring partners, and his partner, Roy Cortez, who got a boxing gym called Gators Boxing Gym. That's where I'm at right now. And I just wanted to acknowledge some of these young fighters. Right now, we got the JO Nationals that's coming up. We have Jaden McInerney fighting 70 pounds, Marcus Juarez fighting 60. And the Junior Nationals is March 18th through the 21st here in Houston.
Okay,
and then in 2021, we have the Senior Nationals. And Eugene Hill, who I've just mentioned, his son, who will be turning pro pretty soon. Well, man, right now he's in Vegas sparring with Sean Porter, and he's fighting in the Nationals coming up March 26th through to April 3rd in Sweetport, Louisiana. I'll be there with a radio guy doing the commentary, and we'll be there every day hosting the fights.
Okay, now I got a guy that I went to school with. His son is up there in Vegas with Sean Porter. It's Gene Hill. His son is up there with him.
That's
also.
That's Eugene Hill, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I went to school with, man.
Well, Eugene is like my little protege. He's like on my last card, man. He's a man. He had some of that Tyson stuff in it. Mean Eugene Hill, that's what they call him. Okay, I didn't even know you knew Eugene.
Yeah, I know him, man. He's a good guy, man. But I'm really proud of him. We're really proud of his son, man. They're up there taking care of business, man. What's up, Devon? How you doing, man? What's up, Darrell? What's happening? And go ahead, sir.
I just told you something you already knew.
That's all good. But the viewers didn't know it, though. You know?
Right. That's right. The viewers didn't know it. Yeah.
And to my viewers out in Texas, man, y'all go out to what's that, Gators Boxing Gym?
Right, Gators Boxing Gym, Dickinson, Texas.
Dickinson, Texas. Now, Chris White, I think you out there, man. Go get your well, first of all, you get in the ring, all right, and you get in shape, and then get your kids up and in the ring. And go see Mr. Johnson out there in Dickinson. All right. And man,
I love working with kids, man. It's a passion, man. As a matter of fact, the guy who was working on, I'm on his phone now. Who's trying to get my phone? He's here with me now. Dominique, and 27-year-old young man. I've been training him for what, 3 months?
Yes, sir.
3 months, and man, he's lost like 26 pounds. He was like a heavy guy. 26 pounds now. I think he like it because he said all them young girls always looking at him now.
Hey, don't get caught up with that, Dominique, man. Hey, man, I mean, it's cool, but listen, man, you want to make the money, you don't want to lose it, you know?
That's right. So he sound like me, something he didn't experience before. You're right, bro. You gotta be smart.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to let you go, but the viewers still want to talk to you, man. I got Mr. Arnold, Mr. Willie asking you, he said, do you have any merchandise for us to purchase? You selling anything?
Yeah, well, you know, hey, listen, I do the signed gloves. I do T-shirts. I even have a replica championship ring. And what I do is I'll package all that stuff and take pictures and I'll send it to you. And you know, anybody that's interested, you know, you can just call me and we'll get it to you.
You have a number for him? Because I know Mr. Willie listening right now.
Yeah. My number is 832-420-4972.
One more time, Mr. Johnson. One more time so you get it.
832-420-4972.
All right. Mr. Willard, go ahead and give Mr. Johnson a call. Not right now, but afterwards, so you can get your merchandise. And anybody else who's interested in having some authentic merchandise from Mr. Reggie Johnson, please give him a call. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
And it's pretty good question, I believe. Now I know you in last year there was a fight between Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Are you aware of that?
Of course, I'm aware of that. I've been getting phone calls too, man. The one against Tyson or Roy Jones, but I've been getting some calls too from overseas. Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna ask you now. First of all, how was that matchup for you? That's first of all.
I think it was a beautiful. I think it was a beautiful thing. Those two guys made some millions, and I love to see fighters do that. And once again, I'm happy for both of those guys. And once again, like I told you, what I'm working on, trying to make boxing better. But think about it. They put out there that event made $80-something million. One of them only got, I don't know, I don't really know the numbers, but they said that Roy got 4, Mike got 8 or 9 or something like that. But still, well, all the rest of that money, that's, you understand what you see where I'm going, bro?
Yeah. So the fighters didn't get. They didn't get hardly anything compared to the totality of money that was going around.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying, man. But you know what? I'm happy for both of those brothers, and they went out and did what they do, man. And it's a beautiful thing. Right now, they trying to put together Tyson and Holyfield.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Tell me now, are you gonna be up for this when they give you a call or what?
Hey, am I going to be up? I'm already up for it.
You already ready for it?
Hey, I'm already up, and I'm gonna be up even higher if they get the money right.
All right, then, because look, man, I think you can take some of these guys. You know what I mean? They're gonna move you up to heavyweight now, so you just go get ready.
Yeah, but check this out, man. But think about it. In this day and time, them guys making more money in an exhibition than they make in a real fight.
In their career.
Yeah,
Right. You're right, man.
So I that coronavirus has helped some people.
I guess so.
Yes.
Hey, now, just for the sake of knowing, who would you like for your opponent to be if they give you the call?
I would like whoever I'm gonna make the most money with. It could be anybody. If they call me and say, Reggie, we want you to do an 8 or 10 round fight with God, I'm gonna say, come on, man. What God at? How much? 10 million, 20 million? God, I'm ready right now. God, what are you? Amen. God, come on, let's do it.
All right. Well, I thought you may have had it. I thought you might want to give Mr. Tony a call, Mr. James Tony, and say, let's get another crack. That's what I thought.
And that's the reality of it. I would love to do a James Tony or Roy Jones again, and like everybody, Mike Tyson, man, like Ali, won a lot of fights with his mouthpiece. I think that Mike Tyson had a lot of fights won by the way he put stuff out there, intimidation. And but I was telling a guy a couple of weeks ago the same thing. I say, man, I don't care. Either Tyson gonna knock me out or I'm gonna knock him out. I say, I'm a man like Tyson. I put my pants on like he put his on. I mean, all that. I'm not scared of nobody.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of nobody. So and Tyson and I have been knowing each other since we was 15. We came up in the JOs and the Nationals. He and I lost in the '84 Olympic trials. He lost to Henry Tillman, and I lost to Frank Tate.
Yeah.
In the 1984 Olympic trial.
Wow, I didn't know that, man. That's great, man. You know everybody, man. That's a blessing, man. I'm glad to have you on my show, man. And I'm glad that we got a chance to kind of chop it up, and so my viewers could get to know you. If they hadn't already known you, they should have already known you. But I want to thank you again. I do have to go ahead and mention our sponsors real quick. For all of your affordable legal needs, call Legal Shield. You can contact Miss Farrah Shelley. That's at 770-912-5487. That's 770-912-5487. And for also, we have a creative bartending. whether it's a reception, professional gathering, or a private party, maybe even a fight party. Call Creative Bartending, and it's right for you. Call Miss Brianna Sowers. That's 323-427-8648. Again, that's 323-427-8648. All right. All right, Mr. Johnson, you have any parting words for us?
Yeah, if anybody want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Reggie Johnson. I got like 3 pages, Reggie Johnson or Reggie Sweet Johnson. It'll come up. I'm also on Twitter. What's the other one? And also Reggie Johnson on Instagram. And also what I wanted to do, if anybody's in this area in Dickinson, Texas, Houston, wherever, I wanted to give the address to Gators Boxing Gym, 12,000 Highway 146 in Dickinson, Texas. And I'm here like 5 days a week. Sometimes I come on Saturdays. You know, I love, I mean, you want to get in shape. My thing now, man, I'm not fighting, working hard to fight. I'm working hard to live longer, to be here longer. And,
Yes,
you know,
sir. I
everybody's
can't
on
believe you're still getting in the ring. That's what I can't believe.
Yeah. You know, it's all about health. It's about being healthy now, man. I've been blessed. All those fights I had 96 and 12 amateur, 52 pro fights. I got all my faculties, and I just want to stay healthy, man. I want to, you know, live a long life.
Yes, sir. Well, we sure appreciate you, and we hope that and pray that you stick around with us a lot longer, man. Keep giving us good game and history, you know, giving us good history lessons and good values, you know, good lessons.
Now I know it's about time for us to get off, but I want to shock you in the world, and it's out there. Many people don't know this here, and I didn't know this myself until 2003 when I lost my father, and my grandmother, who's also deceased now. I flew her and my cousins and my aunt in from Tucson, Arizona. I'm sitting at the table with my grandmother, and she's telling me about my grandfather, her husband, who died when I was almost 2 years old, and he had changed his name to from Nathaniel to Jack Johnson, because he wanted to be like his relative, D. Jack Johnson. I'm also related to Jack Johnson, the first African American heavyweight champion of the world.
Wow, that's something I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. That means it's in the blood, brother.
Yeah, it's definitely in the blood, man. And that Jack Johnson, like Ali said, Jack Johnson was crazy, marrying white women in the early 1900s. But that Jack Johnson, man, he was a bold man, bro. You know what he was up against back then. Yeah,
he was, man.
Well,
one of my favorite.
One of my favorite Jack Johnson stories is, you know, he had them fancy cars back then, and he was speeding, and the police pulled him over, and the police said he was speeding, told him, and he said he needed. That's when you had to pay the ticket right there on the site. And he asked him, he said, "How much is the ticket?" He said, $50. Jack Johnson gave him a $100 bill. He said, "Man, it's only 50." He said, "Yeah, but I got to come back the same way."
So you already know I'm gonna be flying going back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. He was something, man. And some people saw him as arrogant, man. But I'm glad that he was able to. I'm glad he was able to portray himself like that with confidence. You know, that gives us something to strive for. You know, especially when you're good at your job. You know. Okay.
Hey, I got one of the little youngsters right next to him. He just want to say something to the fans.
Oh, go ahead.
Y'all come see us at Gator Boxing over here in Dickinson, Texas. It's a good camp over here.
Okay, now I got all my people out there. Got Chris White, who's out there that I know. I got so many. Lance, what was Lance?
I know Lance. That's my man, Lance. I know Lance. Oh man, you know Lance.
People out there.
Oh,
yeah, go see Mr. Johnson and all the people over at Gator Boxing over in Dickinson, Texas. All right.
And y'all remember this here, man. That Eugene Hill Jr., we call him EJ. He's the future of boxing, man. And I just watched yesterday him sparring with Sean Porter, and Eugene told me that Sean Porter and Sean Porter, dad, and some other people walked up and said, "Man, you're gonna be champion of the world."
Yeah,
He's a 21-year-old amateur, you know, spawn fighting on that level like that. Man, it's amazing. But you know, his dad put in the work and kept his son in boxing, and you know, man, it's amazing, man. And I love that seeing the father and son things work out like that.
Yes, sir. Well, that's great, man. I think, like you mentioned earlier, that's now like the growing thing. Like Sean Porter and his dad. You got what's his name, and his father, Swift.
Garcia.
Danny Garcia and his dad.
Yeah, Garcia. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah. So it's always good to have family around to keep you grounded, you know.
That's right. That's right, man.
All right. Well, fellas, thank you for a great show. Thank you for giving the knowledge to my viewers. Thank you for my viewers for tuning in tonight. And we will see you next week. Y'all have a great night, okay?